For those of you tuning in for the first time, you're probably thinking this is something from an apocalypse movie, possibly. But if you watch the previous video, you can see more about this. And I actually did a scan around the scene with the camera, so you get a view of the area. Beautiful view. It's worth watching in the previous video, going along the beach. And so I've spoken a little bit in the previous videos. I've spoken about Brazilian history and some other things. So now I'm going to get into a little bit of Brazilian culture. So the first thing I'll talk about is, the scenery down here in Brazil. Now, a lot of times you have this picture of Brazil, and it's sort of this idea of, I guess you could say, this idea of maybe soccer fields and samba and things like that. And I mean, that is part of the culture, but it's a very small part of the culture. And so we have this misconception of what Brazilian culture is really like. And it's like the U.S. It's a kaleidoscope of culture. And I mean, basically it is. And the people, the culture, it's different. Also, the landscape. They have some very different landscapes in different places. Like this area is a beach area. And one thing interesting about Brazil is along the coast, the mountains are very close to the coast. Unlike the east coast of the United States, where you have the coastal plains for a long distance, and then you have the Piedmont, and it starts getting a little bit hilly in the Piedmont, and then you go up into the mountains, and this is a long drive. But a lot of parts of Brazil, especially when you get down to Santos and some of those places, and even Rio itself, the mountains shoot right up from the beach. So you have like a small coastal plain and these mountains rocketing up, which is really good for the defense of Brazil. And that might explain why Brazil easily defended the southern part of Brazil compared to the northern part of Brazil. Possibly. I don't know the northern part of Brazil that well, so I know a little bit about it, but it's mostly desert up there. So if someone tried to take over the northern part of Brazil, they would be isolated around a coastal area back in those days, because surviving in a desert is a difficult thing. So it's just like the United States it's defendable, but not because of the mountains, but because of the marshes. It's difficult to get into those marshes. And that's an important part of a defendable area. Even with modern technology, it still makes it difficult. So that's one of the things you can think about. Brazil is terrain. So it has a lot of beautiful mountains, like right on the edge. And these mountains sort of hold back the rain a little bit too. So that creates more moisture in the interior of Brazil. And one example that I could give on that, where I live, it rarely rains. But if I drive 45 minutes away into the mountains, it will be full of rain. It'll rain excessively. And I lived out in that area for a while, so it's an extreme difference. But where I live, it rarely rains. But it's not like a desert. It's not dry. There are some places that would probably be like a glade, where it's difficult to grow things, but that's because it's mostly sandy and not a lot of topsoil. So now this area down here, it rains a lot because they're further away from the mountains than I am, I think. It seems like it rains more down here than where I'm at. But there's still a lot of that glade type environment down here as well, in this area that you're looking at right now. So we're headed back towards the northeast, northeast, heading back into Rio, or heading back into Macaé, heading up in that direction. And we're actually going to another beach, which is called Blue Beach, or coastal, and that's going to be a nice scenery too. We're going to stop there and then head back in. So that is, so it's a nice area. There's lots of things to do around here, lots of activities, lots of places, interesting places. So now, if you go to the interior of Brazil, like there's one massive waterfall. I think it probably puts Niagara to shame, I guess. I mean, Niagara's amazing, but the falls, the Iguaçu waterfalls, it's on the border of Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil, and the borders kind of dissect through that area. And right there is where this massive waterfall is. It's a beautiful area too. So there's deserts in the northeast. You have the jungle in the Amazon area. In the southern part of Brazil, it snows. If I go east of here, and if you go in the mountains, the mountains will get iced over barely. So there's some diverse environment. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video. Thank you for joining me on this Brazilian adventure. If you enjoyed exploring Brazil with me, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to Lost in Brazil for more exciting content and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and questions or suggestions in the comments below. I love hearing from you. And until next time, obrigado and safe travels.